So, what's up, y'all? I was just sitting here and I've been tasked to turn the camera on. And as I sat here, I was like, okay, so when I turn it on, what am I going to say? And I don't know what I'm going to say, but I know whatever comes out is going to be useful to someone, if they are trying to get to a better space in life, if they're really trying to make a difference with where they are right now and understanding how not to be there anymore. Whatever it is I say will work. So today I met with my friend and we talked about the idea of accountability and control issues. And that was really the gist of the whole thing, was the idea of having some boundaries in place, taking accountability for the actions that you have. And when you take an accountability, understand that there is a letting go of control that you have to have in order to see a different value on your life, to see a different value of yourself, really. Because in this scenario, we were talking about how people put themselves in situations where they feel like they've gotten the short end of the stick. And in that, are they really getting the short end of the stick, or are they getting what they deserve? Now, I know that's going to sound kind of harsh, but think about when you mind your business and when you mind somebody else's business, right? When you mind somebody else's business, you need to know what's going on, when they're going to do this and when they're going to do that. And meanwhile, while you're doing that, you're not minding your own business. You're not tending to your own garden. And so then when they don't do the things that you expect them to do, or the things, not even expectations in that scenario, but the things that you've decided that is required of them for this thing that you just helped with. I just did this for you, so now you have to do what I say, in a way to control people. But if you would just allow people to be who they are, you can decide what is going to be acceptable to you and what's not going to be acceptable to you. You don't have to put yourself in a position where you're like, oh my God, like, why do I keep getting messed up every time I help people out? And that saying that people have, every time I help somebody out, I always get hurt. People always fuck me over. They never this and they never that. But then you really, really have to go in and ask yourself, like, why am I helping? Why am I putting myself in this position? What is it that I expect to get out of it? And if you have an expectation that they're going to do something for you, then say, hey, listen, I want this. I'll help you do this if you do this. But you got to tell somebody that you want to control them. Well, I helped you pay your rent this month, so next month when I see you spending $5, I'm allowed to say something to you about that because I helped you out. But the truth of the matter is that, are you helping a man out for their benefit so that they can grow, so that they can be a better person, so that they can pass that along and help somebody else? Or are you really just trying to control people? Are you really trying to think about how what you're saying and what you're doing is affecting somebody else? So you're taking away their power and control over themselves. You're taking away their accountability. You're taking away from their responsibility when you decide that you are going to jump in and assist and be the person that they need to do everything for them, so that you can do what? At the end, talk about them, tell everybody how they don't never do this, talk about how they never get this done, how this and that happens, and you're still not any better off. Whereas if you help someone, you say, oh, let me help you. And you give that to them with a pure heart, a pure thought that says, you know what, I'm just going to do this for this person. You'll see how your life will flourish and how things will always be coming to you. how you can always be so abundant because you are allowing that to happen by giving freely and understanding what giving freely is and when it's a cost to your giving. Because if you are giving freely, that $20 that you gave Bob, it will always come back to you. Even if Bob doesn't give it back. And that's where people also get misunderstood. They think just because Bob hasn't given the money back that they haven't been blessed. Nothing has changed for them because they didn't get it back the way they gave it. Don't get it confused that life is not cyclical. Everything changes, but everything is the same. Just because you got a borrow from Bob doesn't mean Betty won't be the one to come and say, hey, you know what? I thought I'd give you this $40 that I had. And, I know you working so hard and blah, 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 whatever the case is. But you still thinking that Bob owes you that $20. And how come your life is shit when you do nothing but help people all the time? You do nothing but say, oh, I'm this or I'm that, and I always be helping people and nobody ever helps me. You got to ask yourself some questions. And one of those questions might need to be is how come you're helping everybody and nobody ever helps you? And I had to come to that understanding for myself that sometimes the help that I need to give it to myself. And then when I really do need the help, I need to know who to ask for help. You can't just ask anybody for help because, again, Bob ain't never had that $20 back from 20 years ago. You can check his bank account and he still ain't got it. But if you surround yourself with the right type of people, when you need the help will be available to you. So I just wanted to get that little spiel out right quick, but I totally understand where, we are with these things, and we think in our mind it's always something outside of us that determines what's happening in our life, and knowing that we are responsible for everything that goes on, we somehow want to take away our accountability for actions and behaviors that we ourselves are really just displaying. Because every time you interact with a person, they are a mirror. And if you don't believe that, walk up to a person and smile. See if they don't smile back. And then walk up to a person with a frown on your face and see if you don't get that frown back. Or if not a frown, the look of confusion. Because they don't understand why the energy is being passed this way. However, people are in your life to mirror you, to show you where you are. Good and bad. Those people you can't stand, those are the people who you might need to try to get to understand why you can't stand them. Because it might be because you see a part of yourself that you don't like reflected back in other people. And that is something that is not easy to see. But I'm telling you, try it. It's a wonderful experience. Because it allows you to look at yourself a little bit differently. Have some compassion for someone when they come to you in a bad mood or they come to you acting away. How did you present yourself? Because there's not really been a whole lot of times where I presented myself with a smile on my face that somebody could argue with me, that somebody could be mad because they just didn't understand, oh, well, I can't even display that kind of behavior because this person's got a smile on their face. I did that today when the guy tried to decide he wanted to cut me off and then chase me down the road so he could put his fist up at me, and I smiled and waved, and he looked and he didn't understand. He couldn't even understand why I was still smiling and laughing at him. Hey, because I'm not bothered by the fact that you should have left earlier. I'm on the road. I got to focus on that and what's going on. If you feel like you needed to do something different, then hey, make other decisions and choices, because he had a decision and choice too, that he could have left a little earlier or he could have slowed down a little bit more. And at the end of the day, he had to do both. And I kept going on my merry way. So, think about that as you want to look at this journey as, an experience. Everything is an experience, and you get to choose what that experience gets to be. You get to decide whether or not you want to let it be joyful and happy, or whether you want it to be miserable and sad. And quite frankly, I just choose not to be miserable and sad. So, y'all have a good day. Stay blessed.